Hello and welcome. My name is Scott Suskovic. I'm pastor at Christ Lutheran Church, and welcome to this podcast that we call Deeper Dive, in which we take a look at the previous Sunday's sermon and go at a deeper level for a great conversation. We're glad you're here. Pastor Scott here.
Pastor Adrian.
And Reformation Sunday is always a fun celebration.
It is. I mean, we're ready for the festival when it comes every year. Lots of red.
Lots of red, lots of Mighty Fortress, different versions. And like I said, I'm not sure if the Catholics and the Orthodox are celebrating Reformation Sunday, but I think the Presbyterians and Lutherans are.
Okay, at least a couple of Protestant denominations. That's good.
Yeah. So I was in a quandary on Sunday. Do I preach Reformation or do I preach about our stewardship, abundant living? Now, a good pastor could have done both.
A good one.
A good one.
Yeah.
But I had to focus on one or the other. And I chose Reformation because I love that. It's like the third most important Sunday of the year for me. I just love that there. So the text was, "As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now abide or remain in my love." It's Jesus' commandment to his disciples to love one another the way that he has loved us, which really kind of begs the question, how has Jesus loved us? And so we explored three different rules. Yeah? You know, the golden rule, where you love someone the way you would like to be loved or treated. And that's good until you realize that person doesn't want to be loved the way you want. Your spouse might have a different love language. Your friend may not want to be loved with big hugs and kisses. You know, loving the way you want to be loved doesn't always work. So we went to the platinum rule: love them the way they want to be loved.
Right. This the cornflakes, the prom.
Yeah, the prom.
Yeah, Let them.
Yeah, I was told that if you love a pig and you love your child the way they want to be loved, you're going to end up with a great pig and a horrible child.
Well said. Well said.
We don't always love them the way they want to be loved because, you know, they're just going to get themselves into trouble and they need some guidance. So we bumped that up to the diamond rule. And that's the kind of love that Jesus has loved us. He says, "No greater love has anyone than this, that they lay down their life for the sake of the other." So it's a sacrificial love. It's not a heartfelt, romantic love song, rom-com kind of love. It is a command to love. And so, you know, we're probably not going to have to lay down our life for our spouse or for our faith. But we're going to have to sacrifice something for it, something for the sake of the other.
Right.
So then we got into Reformation, of course. That's where I was saying that Luther loved with that diamond love, because he went in as a 38-year-old professor, monk, really willing to lay down his life for the sake of truth for the other.
Yeah, what an interesting connection it was, because our minds, I think, always go to Jesus. And in this, you know, abide with me, may you lay your life down as I have for I. And then Luther, you know, seeing it in that light of, there was a moment he had to sleep on it. You know, he didn't answer right away. He had to really think about it, that he really well could have lost his life over it. He said all the reformers had before him.
Certainly they had. So today in Deeper Dive, I want to get real practical, real nitty-gritty, really applicable to this. I wanted to set up a scenario. I've had this conversation, I don't know how many times over my years as a pastor. It is a scenario that is played out in a lot of different families, where the mom and dad get a divorce because of alcoholism or abuse when the children are young. The children go live, maybe for this instance, with mom, and dad is forever estranged from the family. And when you're a little kid, you want your dad, and he is he's absent, and maybe you heard some unpleasant things about him. And so over time, you're not just lonely for your dad, you want your dad. You become angry, resentful that he abandoned the family. All right?
Right.
So here's the conversation I've had many times during my ministry. It's been 20 years, and dad calls out of the blue and wants back into his daughter's life or his son's. And so the question is, now what do we do? Now what do we do?
Yeah, and depending how, it's presented too.
Right.
How the father comes back, trying to figure out what that motivation is.
Right. Well, let's brainstorm for a second. So your dad's been estranged for 20 years. When he left, it was a horrible breakup. He calls out of the blue. You're now a grown person. You got a family of your own. You got a voice of your own. You're no longer that little kid. But now you're looking at this phone call and you're wondering, why is he calling now?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, a lot of times I think people can grow from that in certain ways because it happened. And then sometimes, no matter how they've grown, they still feel like that little girl.
Right.
Like it takes them back to that feeling.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a complicated situation for the person who is trying to figure out how to
Very
respond.
much. So when I've had these conversations, I ask the person, imagine what are some possibilities your dad's calling now after 20 years. Now, I can think of maybe he's feeling guilty. Maybe he's feeling lonely. Maybe
he's in a hard circumstance.
Maybe a hard circumstance and needs money.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving's coming and he's looking for nostalgia.
Yeah.
Now, those are the worst case scenarios. There's some good possibilities. Alcoholism, you go through these 12 steps, and the 5th step is to seek out those whom you have harmed with your addiction, and you make amends. Maybe he's in recovery, and part of it is returning to make amends. Or maybe he's come to faith himself.
Right. It can be very positive reason.
Very positive reasons. So then, I've got to remind that person, you're not a little girl. You have a voice, you've got a backbone, you're strong, you're independent, you've got power. So are you going to have that conversation?
Yeah, to open that door again.
Are you going to open that door? And their initial response typically is, no, I don't want to. I processed this with my therapist and with my mom, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I've worked through it. I've closed that door.
I'm good.
I'm good now. Yeah.
But they're not.
Yeah.
But they're not, because those wounds of the father run deep.
Yeah.
That's why they're talking to me, because they know that's not the right thing to do. But they also know the right thing to do is not just say, come on in, Thanksgiving's ready.
Right,
Have a seat at the head of the table. Well, that seems very unhealthy.
Yeah, that doesn't address the issue. That doesn't promote healing ultimately.
Right. So what to do. And so, we talk about love, not in some feeling sense, like in a romance or a friendship, or even love in the family. When Jesus says, as the Father has loved me, so have I loved you, now abide in my love, it's not a feeling. It's what Paul talked about in 1 Corinthians, to be patient and kind, not jealous or boastful, envious or rude, and so on. It is a conscious daily decision to love.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a verb in many ways. It's maybe, it's not this fluffy feeling you have.
So here's the question I usually ask. If you have this conversation as a grown woman or man, if you have this conversation, what will you have to lay down? Jesus said, for love, you're going to have to lay down for the sake of the other. What do you suppose they're going to have to lay down?
Wow.
To enter into the conversation?
Just to start the conversation. Well, I'd imagine there is a lot of history there, a lot of feelings, so maybe some guilt.
Guilt, yes. Guilt that I want to shut the door, maybe.
Yeah. Anger. I think there could be a lot
Anger.
of anger.
There's got to be a lot of
Hurt.
anger there, too.
That hurt over years has simmered and become like a hardness. And maybe to even lay the hardness down.
That's a good one, too. I didn't think of that one. Lay down the hardness.
Because anyone could put up that wall.
Yeah.
Like, nope, never going to talk to you again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lay down the hardness. Well, I don't know how all these stories end. I just kind of prep them up. And it's not my role to say, yes, you are to forgive him and then let him babysit your kids or go out to the zoo with your kids.
Yeah.
Yes, you are to forgive him and bring him in for Thanksgiving. You can forgive him. If it's a sincere, we're assuming he's not there out of his own loneliness, or he needs a loan, or he's nostalgic.
Yeah.
No, it's for good reasons. Either that fifth step, or he's come to faith and really needs to make amends. If that's the case, well then, to forgive doesn't necessarily mean that he's got full access and he's going to waltz back into your family again. You're a grown person. You've got your own family. You've got a voice. You've got a backbone. You've got to make healthy boundaries.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a real challenge in Christianity, actually.
Yes.
This idea of boundaries, because in one way you can see that, the cues we take from Christ about laying our lives down. Jesus definitely had boundaries. I mean, Jesus, he confronted Pharisees. He confronted people all the time. But in terms of how everything unravels, Holy Week, and we talk about how just you begin in victory and then it unravels into this huge mess. And of course, we know that God redeems and brings Christ back. Christ comes to life, is risen again. But when we think about boundaries in relationships, when we talk about laying our lives down, how do we do that with boundaries?
Yeah. That's where I don't know how all the stories
Yeah, it's a
have
complicated.
ended.
Yeah, you don't really get
It's
the follow-up,
messy, right?
probably.
I don't get the follow-up so much.
Yeah, and maybe it's because it's not something that can be tidied up in one or two meetings. It's a process that it may take years to really have full resolution or reconciliation, and maybe those boundaries are always in place. You never fully. It has to be on your own terms.
They're a little fluid, huh?
Yeah.
Well, regardless, we do talk about. It's interesting. I've had this conversation, like I said, many a times, and somewhere at the end, they'll say something like, "You're right, but I just don't feel it."
That they can't lay it down, maybe? Is it like they hear it logically, but it's just they can't let it
doing
go.
it is tough.
Yeah.
And when they say they just don't feel it, I say, tough. But in a pastoral way.
In different words.
In different ways. Tough. Jesus didn't ask us to feel it. He asked us to love the way he has loved us. And the way he has loved us, before his heart was in the right place, before he had warm, fuzzy feelings towards us, Romans 5 says, while we were yet sinners, while we were enemies of God, he showed his love for us, not emotion, his love for us in laying down his life. And so I said, maybe you're going to have to engage in the conversation, forgive if it is inappropriate, and the feelings will come later, if at all. That really doesn't matter.
But we're called to
forgive.
Called to forgive.
And I don't want to minimize that at all, especially with messy family situations that are going on like this. But that diamond rule, no greater love has anyone than this, to lay down your life, your anger, your hardness, your guilt, your resentment, your history, for the sake of the other. It really shows how applying these Christian principles to our lives, it's going to be one of the hardest things we're ever going to do.
Yeah, calls us to go beyond ourselves, our feelings, and to make amends.
Make amends. Because we are in that ministry of reconciliation, as messy as it gets over time. Well, if anyone over the years is hearing this podcast and has had that conversation with me, because it's been a few, I would love to hear how the story turned out.
Yeah. Yeah, and Pastor Scott, I think that while we joked about a good preacher doing one or the other at the beginning, I think you did both. That the Reformation shows us the abundance of God's grace and how we live that out.
That's a good way to end. Hey, this coming Sunday, All Saints Sunday. What a powerful, powerful Sunday as we remember all the saints who from their labors rest. And from Christ Lutheran, we've had 12 people who have died since last All Saints Sunday. And we'll put their pictures up and we'll toll the bell and we'll light a candle and invite the whole congregation when they come up for communion if they'd like to light a candle for a loved one. So it's a very powerful service coming up.
We'll honor our saints.
Good deal. Thanks for joining us.